Welcome to today's Explainer. I'm going to ask you to step into my office for a few minutes because today we're putting on our career mentor hats to tackle a massive, honestly kind of silent frustration that plagues so many dedicated professionals. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're doing everything absolutely right. You're following all the rules, meeting all the expectations, but somehow you've hit a totally frustrating dead end. You are putting in the hours, sure, but the promotions, the big leaps, or just that genuine sense of fulfillment, they just aren't materializing. Today, we're going to break down exactly why that happens and, more importantly, how you can finally unlock that bottleneck.
Now, this specific question right here, it perfectly captures that mid-career malaise that so many professionals, especially those of us hitting our 30s and 40s, run into. You look back at your track record, and it's completely clean. I mean, you haven't made any catastrophic errors, right? Your interpersonal relationships at the office are mild and conflict-free. Your performance reviews are perfectly adequate. But despite playing completely by the rules, there's just this lingering feeling of being, well, nothing special. You feel like you've lost your creative spark, your dynamic edge. Your career has become incredibly predictable. So why is that?
The root of this problem can actually be explained through a really fascinating agricultural metaphor. Just think about how we grow tomatoes. Most of us have been raised like bamboo-tied tomatoes. We're tied up to these rigid stakes, representing societal norms and corporate systems. We grow straight, we're orderly, we're safe, and we rarely catch diseases. But compare that to wild-spreading tomatoes. They're disorganized, they grow totally free without any unified support system, and frankly, they might look a bit chaotic. However, it is precisely out of that wild, untamed growth that you occasionally get a truly dazzling, extraordinary piece of fruit. So the hard question you have to ask yourself right now is, are you a highly regulated, bamboo-tied tomato, or are you actually allowing yourself the space to be a wild-spreading one capable of unexpected brilliance?
Now, the really crucial point here is that this restrictive bamboo state keeping you in place, it isn't usually some evil boss or a terrible company. It's actually self-imposed conditioning. Over the years, we've subconsciously adopted what the source material calls a socialized safety algorithm. And hey, this algorithm is incredibly effective at one specific thing, helping us avoid risks, dodge mistakes, and basically pay the lowest possible price in our daily lives. But here is the absolutely devastating trade-off. While it protects us, it simultaneously shuts down our ability to converse with the unknown. It literally turns off our radar for breakthrough changes and dynamic adaptation.
You can actually see the symptoms of the safety algorithm at work in your daily routines all the time. Think about it. You might find yourself constantly avoiding stepping over interpersonal boundaries just to keep the peace. Never pushing back on a colleague's bad idea because you don't want to rock the boat. You fear untested paths, so you stick only to the software or the exact processes you already know. You blindly obey established authority instead of stopping to question if there's actually a better way. And you instinctively reject any risky uncertainties. Sure, this algorithm keeps us mild, secure, and out of trouble, but ultimately, it stunts our growth and makes our careers incredibly stagnant.
Let this sink in for a second. It is a cruel reality. Conditioning can guarantee the floor, but it cannot raise the ceiling. That hits pretty hard, doesn't it? As a career mentor, I see this literally all the time. It explains exactly why simply working harder at your current job will not break your career bottleneck. If you just pedal faster on the exact same bicycle, you're not going to suddenly start flying. The algorithm itself inherently caps your upward mobility. It ensures you won't get fired, yeah, but it absolutely guarantees you won't achieve anything extraordinary.
If we trace this back to where it started, we see that the real obstacle isn't laziness at all. It's an outdated operating system left over from our youth. Think back to our teenage years. The school system heavily valued stability, obedience, and consensus. Everyone studied the exact same textbook to pass the exact same test. Then in our 20s, the college or entry-level job mindset demanded a strict no-mistakes approach just to secure a foothold. But the real tragedy happens in our 30s and 40s. We leave that highly structured environment, yet our minds remain completely stuck in that rewards for obedience childhood mode. We're actively playing a complex, dynamic adult game, but we're severely handicapped because we're still using the rules of a high school classroom.
And that leads us straight into the danger of path dependency. What kept you safe in the past actually becomes a shackle today. Let's look at a practical, real-world case. Imagine a mid-level manager who strictly stays within their department's KPIs. They never volunteer for cross-departmental projects because, well, it's not their job and it introduces risk. Now, in the past, that hyper-focus gained them trust and stability. But in today's rapidly shifting market, that exact same behavior creates massive blind spots.
When the company inevitably pivots, that manager is completely left behind, because the real world doesn't reward perfect compliance anymore. It rewards those with weed-like vitality who aren't afraid to step across artificial borders and break the rules.
By intentionally stepping out of bounds, you actually open yourself up to finding what the source wonderfully translates as dog gold. It's like what miners might call a dog nugget, a massive, unrefined, completely unexpected chunk of raw value hiding out in the wild. The people who find this rare gold are always the ones who are a little bit unorthodox. They might cause a little friction, they might challenge authority, and yes, they occasionally fail. But because they are exposing themselves to the wild, unstructured environment way outside the bamboo stakes, they are the ones who stumble upon those massive career-defining opportunities that the perfectly compliant employees completely miss.
So, the big question, how do we actually fix this? To help you reboot your operating system, I've pulled together an action checklist straight from our source. We're going to break this down into 3 actionable steps to comprehensively restart how you assess your true career value and finally step out of that heavy conditioning. Let's walk through them right now.
Step 1. You need to honestly, brutally ask yourself if a high school obedience mentality is still secretly dictating your adult career choices. Are you staying in a role you've completely outgrown simply because you were taught that loyalty is always rewarded? Are you just sitting there waiting for someone to give you an A+ and hand you a promotion instead of actively negotiating for it? You have to shine a bright light on these outdated beliefs and recognize that the rules of the game have fundamentally changed since you left the classroom.
Step 2 requires you to look in the mirror and confront avoidance. You really need to examine whether your internalized safety algorithm is causing you to run away from the exact changes that could solve your bottleneck. When a messy, undefined, chaotic project comes across your desk, does your brain immediately scream too risky, or does it whisper opportunity? Confront your avoidance. Often, the very thing we are dodging because it threatens our comfortable status quo is the exact medicine we need to cure our career stagnation.
And step 3, you have got to stop viewing your career as just a rigid job title or a specific slot within a company's hierarchy. That is the ultimate bamboo stake thinking right there. Instead, start viewing your career as a dynamic, flexible combination of your abilities, your value creation, and your overall influence. If your industry shifts overnight, your job title might disappear entirely. But your ability to solve complex problems, generate real value, and influence other people, that is highly transferable and incredibly valuable no matter where you go.
Okay, so a true career progression isn't about superficially updating your resume. It's about fundamentally updating your mindset. To help you dismantle that safety algorithm starting literally today, our source recommends 3 daily, non-standard, cross-disciplinary exercises to build your adaptability. First, try having a quick chat or coffee with someone in a completely different industry or department just to see how they solve problems. Second, dedicate 15 minutes a day to reading an article entirely outside your professional field to disrupt your echo chamber. And finally, volunteer for just one minor task at work that requires a skill you don't usually use. These small, daily acts of breaking the rules will slowly but surely dismantle your conditioning.
So as you actively shed your self-conditioning, stop relying on those safe bamboo stakes and start allowing yourself to grow a little wild, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. If you stop playing perfectly by the outdated rules of your past, where is your raw, unrefined gold nugget waiting to be found? It's probably hiding right there in plain sight. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today as we unlocked your career bottleneck. Take these insights, step out of bounds, and I will see you in the next one.